Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Jason Zook, an attorney, psychic medium, and host of the 11-time award winning Social Psychic Radio Show, a podcast ranked among the top 2% globally. Jason's life took an unexpected turn in 2004 following the passing of his grandfather. What began as a deeply personal spiritual experience opened the door to a journey that would eventually lead him to explore intuition, consciousness, life after death, meditation, and the power of human transformation, all while building a successful legal career. Jason, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Great to be on here, and thank you so much for this invitation. I really appreciate it.
All right. Okay. So, Jason, can you take us back literally to, the beginning of, okay, first of all, take us back to your 20s or I
Sure.
mean, growing up, what experience shaped the person eventually became?
I appreciate it. Basically, I've always had some intuitive ability, and it's runs in my family. My grandmother was highly intuitive. My mom is. I am. But my family didn't really encourage us to be open about it or to even indulge it. So it wasn't until the death of my grandfather that I really knew about my abilities being more than just speculation, so to speak. When he died, the night he died, I was in a hotel in Wisconsin for a job trip I was on, and literally orbs of light filled the room. And I always had a premonition before he passed, like 7 years before he passed. I had a premonition that the night he dies, I'd be by myself with no one to console me. And it was kind of weird because I'm normally around groups of people where I live in Florida, and I got called away last minute to cover a deposition for my legal job at the time. And my grandfather had a stroke a few days before, and I did get to see him before he
Mm,
passed by about 3 days. But when he actually crossed over, that's when I had orbs of light come in my hotel room right after my mom got off the phone and let me know he passed. And I didn't have someone to console me, but he wound up being the
mm,
consoler because the orbs of light came in, it lit up the room. It was 8:07 at night. And the next thing you know, I have like a loving energy just washing over me like a wave of love, reassuring me, son, I love you. Don't ever worry about me.
mm,
I'm always going to be with you. You're not going to have to worry about that. Go get some food, and I'm always with you. So I went to a local restaurant to have a later dinner, and I was calm. It was almost like the most monumental person in my life just passed who helped raise
mm,
me because I was in a single parent family. But I was super calm because of that experience. And then my one friend called from my high school years. We knew each other like 15 years at the time. And I told her, yeah, he passed. And she's like, oh my God, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Wisconsin. Your premonition came true. And I was like, but I'm
mm,
okay. But I could tell that she doubted it. And so my intuitive abilities were like, hey, if you don't believe me, what if your grandmother could come through? And she's like, my grandmother's been dead for 6 months. All of a sudden, I picked up on a distinct message that only her and her grandmother knew. And she dropped the phone crying. And her future husband grabbed the phone and said, what'd you just say? And I explained what I said. And then she grabs the phone and says, only my grandmother knew that. How did you know?
mm.
And I was confused. I'm like, I don't know. This is all going on within a few hours of my life. And so yeah, I went back to my hotel that night, and my room was my life was never the same again, but in a good way. I got to expand myself into the spiritual side of my life after that.
Wow. All right. Okay, so what impact would you say that these experiences have had on your understanding of life and death?
Massive, massive, and I'll
Mm.
say why. I also had cancer a couple years. In 2018, I got
Mm.
diagnosed with cancer, and I had near-death experiences that happened. And I've
Mm.
had visitation dreams where my grandfather comes to me regularly in a dream and reassures me about things going on in the present moment. Like I'm a caregiver for my mom now. And when she moved in with me after she broke her arm, my grandfather came to my mom and I in the same night to reassure us that, she's going to heal from her injury with the broken arm. She'll live us several more years and, not to worry. And like literally she had a dream the same night as me with my grandfather. So that's like the example of like visitation dreams, how they work to reassure us. And I think The spiritual side of me is the natural side, I'll call it, because I had to work to be a lawyer and, being psychic and intuitive and having all these spiritual experiences makes me realize that life after death, it's an illusion. We just keep going.
Mm,
We just have it fragmented because the physical body ends and we think that's the end of us when it's not. And I think we're here to learn. And I think life itself on this planet, we're meant to evolve and grow. And then when we cross over, we're reunited with everybody, animals, our pets. Love connects us to the other side. And I really shouldn't even call it the other side because it's just a continuation, but it's imparted on me that my abilities or whatever those are, some people are really talented musicians and other people are star athletes. I just happen to be able to pick up on the other side and have a lot of intuitive experiences on a daily basis. I have spiritual experiences every day, which in the past, before I accepted this whole thing being psychic, I kind of didn't have that kind of thing. Because if you want to block it, you can, and I don't block it. I honor it. And I realized that it's a bigger message than myself. For 10 years, I ran away from it at first because I was like, oh, I'm a lawyer. I can't do this. What would people think? What would my clients think? How would it affect me professionally? And then I started doing podcasting, and that brought me out of my shell. And then now I'm at the point where everything's fully integrated. Like if you go on my LinkedIn profile, you'll see everything I do: lawyer, psychic, podcaster, creator, etc. Those are things I'm very passionate about. So it's really helped me on my journey where I am right now.
wow. Oh, okay. I like that you mentioned your career, right? So you've used careers in both law and spirituality. So have you ever felt like tension between those two worlds?
Yeah, as I said, originally the tension was me. I had to
Mm,
accept that I could do both, but I didn't know how to do that
mm,
because the ethics rules as a lawyer don't anticipate an attorney who's intuitive and can read people. So I decided I had a dream in 2012 that I'd call myself Jason Zook, the social psychic, and that I would be doing podcasting and entertainment someday. What happened was Zook is my
mm,
grandfather's last name abbreviated from Zukovich to Zook. So when I had this dream and this premonition dream that I'd be doing this, I just started calling my psychic side, the stuff I do as an intuitive, which blended into podcasting and became like an alternate identity, so to speak, just for these purposes, creative purposes. It shielded me from having to really worry about blending the two parts of my life, the psychic side and the legal side. But then my podcast started to grow and people started to notice when I posted on social media or whatnot that I was Jason Zook and Jason Ciafalo, like my legal name. So like it's kind of like everything's blended now and I really haven't had conflict with it. It's more like my own inner acceptance helped me to understand that this isn't something I have to really be fearful of. The fear was what was originally there, and that changed the confidence and reassurance to knowing that I get meaning and purpose doing this stuff. Like I can work with people
mm,
and guide them and give them information intuitively, and it sometimes helps them get unstuck, and we both find an exchange of very strong value doing it.
mm. Wow. Okay. I was just gonna say this. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like a superpower, right? Because
I tell people everyone has this. This isn't just something I
mm,
do, right? And the hardest time is communicating with people about your abilities because
mm,
some people listen really well. Some people have awesome eyesight. Some people, I'm clumsy. I wish I could be athletic and more inclined. I played sports when I was younger and did what I could, but I always envied people who are natural athletes because I am not a natural athlete. I had to work at it. So there's people
mm,
out there who wish they were more intuitive, and I just say, declutter your mind, meditate, be
mm,
mindful, and you in time will be able to pick up on deceased loved ones or have your own intuitive abilities. We all get deja vu. We all get these
mm,
moments where we feel like we can connect with somebody, either a loved one or somebody we care about. Why is it any different than, those kind
mm,
of things? It's just
mm.
awareness, I think, and confidence.
Hmm. Okay, now I'm surprised, right? I felt like initially before you said this, I thought just a few people had the ability to do it, right? But now you're letting me know that anyone can actually. You just have to, um, connect with yourself, basically. Just like you said, declutter your mind, sit with your mind, and there's a way you would train your mind or something, you'll be able
Yes.
to actually connect with people, connect with, deceased loved ones. Wow. Okay, all
I'll
right.
give you an analogy if you want your audience to hear
Mm,
my analogy. I always like to
yes.
give this. Whenever somebody I give a reading to or someone I connect with asks me, what do I need to do to be more in tune like this? I say, okay,
Mm,
I've only been stargazing a few times in my life because I've always grown up in big metropolitan areas like New York City. I lived in Houston. I live here in Tampa, Florida. Everything's light pollution because of the lights we have in our environment. So I
mm,
actually had the advantage of, doing stargazing, and you can't stargaze in the middle of Manhattan, too much light pollution. But just like that, if you go to an area where there's not a lot of light pollution, like in the mountains or some natural place where there's not a lot of man-made lighting, you'll see the cosmos for what it really is and how beautiful it is. I tell people if you want to be more intuitive, just like the example I just gave with stargazing, you got to take those extraneous thoughts and not let it pollute your mind and distract you
mm.
so that you can focus. And when you do that through meditation, prayer, reflection, journaling, you can control how you are approaching it. And that's when it's going to open you up more.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I would say thank you, Jason, for sharing that wonderful insight with us. And I'm curious, right? What do you think, or should I say, what are like the biggest misconceptions that people had or people have told you about, when it comes to, just being a psychic medium and a whole lot of things like intuition and all. What do you think are like the biggest misconceptions people have about it?
I would say when I read for people, I've been at parties and events where people come up to me and they're skeptical and they hear that I do what I do. And then I start
Mm.
reading for them. And next thing you know, they're crying and people think I'm
Wow.
saying something to offend them. I'm like, no, they're healing right now. This is a healing
Mm,
exercise because it's a catharsis when people are
mm,
grieving heavily and they realize that their loved one isn't gone. Your loved one's with you. They watch you. We're like the reality show for them. And that
wow.
is probably one of the misunderstandings. People don't really understand it because I think we like to put a project onto things. And when people project and they're skeptical, and then all of a sudden you show them that that skepticism might actually need to be reevaluated, that's the paradigm shift where I think people really understand that this is
Mm,
something they didn't just expect it to be like.
mm, wow. Okay. All right. So yes, thank you for, sharing that beautiful one with us. And another thing I would like for us to touch on is forgiveness, right?
Ha, yes.
Forgiveness, meditation, and inner peace, basically. So, first of all, why do you believe forgiveness is such a powerful force?
I love the question because of the timeliness
Mm,
of it. I've been a caregiver for my mom for over 2 years now, and I've had a really
mm,
hard time. And I didn't understand that when you're a caregiver, that most of your friends will peel away from you. People I knew for decades since
mm,
college that I considered my family, all those people scattered when things got tough in my life, and they just disappeared, including my
mm.
own sibling. Like I couldn't
Wow.
believe it. And I'm all alone most of the time
Mm,
with my mom, and I have some friends that are still around, but it was shocking to me, and it made it so hard. And
mm,
this is something I've been dealing with the entire time, from the time my mom fell and broke her arm in February 2024 till literally
mm,
last week. I've had people
mm,
act the strangest towards me, and it makes it hard for me wanting to tolerate that anymore. So
mm,
forgiveness is something that I consider a superpower because letting go of the people who longer serve your needs or no longer has compassion for you and they just don't care. Like forgiveness is a part for yourself more than for the other people. Like when I say forgiveness, I don't mean we're going to sing kumbaya and get together in the future. Like I really do believe that anyone who scattered and left me in the last 2 years, I will never be with them in that same way again. And I believe that.
mm,
I have forgiven them in the sense that it no longer affects me and bothers me the way it has in the past. So forgiveness for me is like if you use the analogy, like here in the United States when we travel, you have to bring your bags and get on a plane. If you don't forgive, you're carrying like 15 bags of luggage on your back all the time. And when you let go and the forgiveness is more a part for yourself than other people. It's like how do you conceptualize betrayal on the deepest level, right? Or apathy or lack of compassion. And forgiveness is a piece of that journey because the part of healing involves letting go of that negative, bad energy, those people that don't belong in your life anymore. By forgiving, you can let go of that and you set strong boundaries. You set those very firm boundaries, like Mount Everest size boundaries, where you tell these people,
mm,
you walked out, you're not welcome back. But I forgive you for what you did to me because I need to in order to heal and move forward. And I've been on that healing journey ever since.
Oh, wow. I agree with you when you say, forgiveness is a superpower because it's hard,
It's so
right?
hard. It's so
It's hard
difficult.
to forgive. I mean, oof, okay, it really is. And I feel like, it's something one has to, I don't want to say train, like you have to train your mind to be able to forgive people because I feel it's hard, honestly, especially, like the experience you just gave us right now, it takes a really good person to actually forgive people that would walk out on you, especially when you needed them the most, right? Because I feel like your
Yes.
friends should have been there when you needed
Oh,
them. That was the period they could
you know
have
what's hard
showed
about
up
it?
for you, right?
Here's what I don't mean to interrupt you. Here's what's most difficult. I have all these pictures of these people in my life where I was in their
Mm,
weddings. I married people to each other and they walked out of my
wow.
life. You know what I did with those picture frames? They're chucked. I got rid of them. I don't need them anymore. I grieved these people who
Mm,
betrayed me as if you
mm,
grieve a dead person. I grieve the living. I even did a post about it on my social media. It's like, hey, if you betrayed me on that deepest level and hurt me in that, like, it's so painful. Uh,
mm,
it's okay. I grieved you. You're no longer alive to me. My own brother's not alive to me anymore, even though he's still alive. Like in sense of it emotionally, I should say. I'll distinguish it as
mm,
that. My emotional attachment to what they did to me is no longer there because I grieved them. I accepted the loss and I've surrendered it and I've moved on. And that's all part of forgiving.
wow. Okay. Oh, it's okay. So yes, I like that we've spoken about forgiveness, right? At least now
Yes.
people could understand that it's not easy, but it's possible, right? Because like you said, you can grieve someone, I mean someone you really loved or show up for. You could grieve them and then just move on from it. And, it's not like, I don't know, from my perspective, right? I feel like there would be times when the memories would, just randomly pop up,
Well, you know
right?
what?
But
I'll say
yeah,
this to you. You know how the iPhone and social media will give you memories of the past, 10
yes.
years ago today. I've had pictures where I have 40 people surrounding me and I'm looking at those pictures. I'm like, I don't
Wow.
talk to any of those people anymore.
Mm,
And the grieving part, I think, is actually an honoring because rather than let that energy be stagnant and sit with you where you can get
mm,
sick or, really have a hard time with it, by letting go of it, it's almost like I look at those photographs. I don't even recognize anyone in those photographs anymore. It's like I'm so detached from it as a coping mechanism that once I make that decision and once I go through the process of the grieving, it's not reversible. Like the people from the past, they could try to reach out to me, but I have no interest after that. And I'm not saying it's easy because trust me, I had the day a couple days ago where it bothered me for a few hours. I was in the rabbit hole of how could these people do this? Why would they do this? And anytime I ask a why or how, the answer never leads me in a good path. So instead I say I accept what happened. I don't need to understand it and I forgive. But that doesn't mean I forget. The boundaries are there, but it's all
mm,
about being able to give yourself the grace to
the
sit in your
grace.
present mindfulness, accept whatever it is, and still be able to get up the next day and do the best you can. Because I got to show up every day for my mom. She relies on me for everything. And I can't imagine if I was down or befuddled by what these people do. It wouldn't be fair to her. It wouldn't be fair to me. And I've got to be in my top game all the
Mm.
time, just like any caregiver does.
Right. Wow. Okay. So, caregiving, I feel like that's another topic on its own, right?
It
Because
is.
I've, it is honestly, I've had guests that, talk about caregivers. And there's one particular guest I had that said, caregivers, most of the caregivers, they give care, like it's in the word, right? They give care to
Yes.
someone who needs it, but they do not really get the care that they give, right? So, I feel like it's not really talked about enough, and
It
the
isn't.
love isn't really shared to, caregivers, right?
Not
So,
at all.
that,
Not we're invisible. We're invisible in our society here in the States. I hate to say it that way, but it
I
really is that
mean,
way for sure.
it's sad. It's sad. It's not supposed to be so. It's supposed to be even better. Like caregivers should be treated better than anyone else because those are the people that actually give love. And people who give love deserves love, right?
One of the
So,
hardest lessons I had was when my
mm,
mom fell, and it took about a
mm,
year. I had a close friend that I mean, I loved this friend dearly. And one of the
mm,
last words this person said to me was, "Oh, you're going too far with this. You might want to put your mom in a home."
mm.
And I was like, "Oh,
Are
really?
you
Well,
serious?
thanks for the conversation. I haven't spoken to that person since."
Wow.
I will add one aspect of forgiveness that I think would be worth mentioning at least, creative
Mm,
stuff. When you're creative, it helps you forgive. Like doing podcasting like
mm,
you're doing right now, I'm going to do a
right.
podcast series dedicated to caregivers, and I'm going to be very
Exactly.
vocal about when your friends and your family and everyone betray you, what's the best way to approach it. I'm going to do a whole series about that
Mm,
topic because I think it needs to be explored. And it's a lesson to anyone who thinks they can just walk away from somebody and there's no ramifications or accountability. Because in my case, the accountability is going to be my creative flow from that. I will make some good content that'll help me, you know, educate other people and
mm,
communicate my dissatisfaction with the people who failed me, but they're not part of my life anymore. But I can at least be
mm.
creative about it to help me move forward and maybe help other people that are going through it as well.
Exactly. Wow. I think that would be a lovely idea, by the way. It
Thank
would
you.
be
It's in the
great.
planning stages right now. So be tuned,
Yes.
old friends of mine who walked away. You might just hear about yourselves indirectly on my show.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, it's okay for them to, know what they did. I mean, it's okay for them to realize that okay, they did something bad.
You know what?
Yes.
When someone's
Right.
capable of that level of betrayal, I don't think they have the same humanity everybody else has. You can't be that
Mm,
selfish, that uncaring to walk away from people who don't deserve it. And so it's interesting how people are in this world. And it really opened my eyes up a lot.
honest. You know what I think is, because personally, I can't walk away from someone I care about so much, right? So I think at the beginning, they never actually cared, right?
You know what I think it is? I think these
Yeah,
people were all transactional in my life. I think that once I
right.
stopped being transactional and giving them what they needed from me, if it's a psychic reading, a legal advice, or just a
Mm,
ear to listen or a shoulder to cry on, I think once I was unable to do that because I couldn't show up the same way, they went elsewhere. That's the only
mm,
thing I could think of. And you know what? I'm not even going to
mm,
worry about the why, like I said, or the how.
mm.
It's more like, hey, you know what? It happened, but I'm glad it did. It gave me clarity the rest of my life. I'm 50 and
Exactly.
I'm doing things now that I would have never imagined because I was able to be opened up to new opportunities and experiences. Because the stagnant people of my past are no longer there. I can fill it with, better
Mm.
things and improve things in my life.
Exactly. Wow. Okay. So personally, I would say I'm glad that, you've gotten to where you are currently, because not many people would have been able to navigate such a situation. But you're able to do it gracefully, actually, not just navigate it, but you did it with so much grace and poise. And that is something to, look up to, actually.
I really
So yeah.
appreciate that.
All right, Jason. So, about the caregiving thing, like you said, it's in the planning phase. But if you don't mind, I could, host you again on my podcast, maybe
I would
when
love that.
you're right, because I really want to talk about it a whole lot, honestly. It needs to be
Absolutely.
talked about, honestly.
I
So,
appreciate that. And I'd love to work further with you and collaborate on these topics because I think they're that pivotal for people to understand. When my mom fell,
mm,
I had no clue what caregiving was like. I was
mm,
working as an attorney. I didn't think that I'd ever have to take over all these things I did, manage medications. And then you deal with anticipatory grief, which is a whole topic to talk
mm,
about, which is like I would wonder why I'm spending time with my mom and she'd go to bed and I'd go like lay down and I was either exhausted or I'd want to cry. And I didn't understand why. Like, why am I so sad? I spent the whole day with my mom and
mm,
everything's okay. It's the anticipatory grief, the grief of knowing your mom is going to eventually pass, and I'm best friends with my mom. So like the knowledge of knowing that everything I've been through, having all these people peel away, having to be alone, and then eventually my mom's gonna pass, that's like terrifying for me. But I'm preparing for it mentally. I'm preparing for it by doing all these new projects
mm,
and getting myself back out there. And sometimes
mm,
returning to your basics, like getting on podcasts and advocating and
mm.
doing the things that fill you with value, help you.
Exactly. Wow. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a lot, right? Or you were gonna touch on. every aspect of, caregiving, that because people see it from the outside as just giving care to people, but they do not really know how deep it is to be a caregiver, right? There are a
No one
whole lot of
understands it
things.
unless they're in that
Right,
situation themselves.
exactly. I mean, psychologically, emotionally, even spiritually too. I mean, it's just a whole lot. And yeah, that should be a topic on its own, honestly.
I
And
would love it.
yes, right. So thank you, Jason, for sharing your story with us. And I would like to say this from the host of Conversations with Sekani. This is me saying, we see you, right? I see you, and my heart goes out to you, and I believe you're gonna do amazing, right? So,
Thank you. I so
right.
appreciate this pleasure of a great conversation with you and your audience. I really appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome, Jason. And finally, I want you to talk to someone out there because it's like the main purpose of my podcast, right? Because a whole lot of young adults, there's so much anxiety in today's world today, and people feel lost. So people are probably grieving a loved ones, and they don't even know how to navigate that situation, right? So,
Yes.
do you have any advice you would love to give to people in that situation, probably the younger ones, right? So,
Sure.
any
I'd
word of
like
advice for them?
I would love to. I'd like to quote someone very wise that said, I see you, I hear you,
Mm,
and you're not alone. And I love
mm,
that type of message because that's what people need to hear when they're caregivers, is that
mm,
everything you're going through, you're not doing it isolated by yourself. You might have people you thought were your friends and family, and those people peel away for whatever reasons it is, but you can find a community
mm.
for yourself. I actually added like 100 caregiver influencers on my Instagram account. And when I did
Wow.
that, I learned that everything I'd been through, the anticipatory grief, learning the bad nature of the people you think you trust, or having to be
Mm,
self-sufficient more. So all those things, they add up. But just let everyone know in this audience, if you're struggling right now or anyone hears this, you're not alone. You are protected. You are going to be guided to make the right decisions in your life. And when it comes to grief, I wanted to say, everyone that deals with the stuff that I've been through, just know it will make you stronger in the long run. And the best thing we could do is self-love, be strong for ourselves, show up for the ones we care for, and just be able to be flow, like go with the flow of things and not
mm.
take life so seriously sometimes.
Wow. Wow. Exactly. Wow. Okay. Thank you for such, powerful words of advice. Right. I believe it's going to change lives, honestly, especially
Thank
for
you.
those who needed to hear this. And yes, finally, Jason, this brings me to the final segment of my podcast. I call it the rapid fire segment. So you could either answer with a word or a phrase starting now. Okay, so what is one daily habit you never skip?
One daily habit I never skip: meditating.
Hmm. Okay. So what is one book that changed your life?
The Bible. Being
Wow.
spiritually attuned. Yeah.
Okay. So what is one thing people overcomplicate?
Relationships with each other.
Hmm.
Easily.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. All right. And yes, a lesson cancer taught you.
A lesson cancer taught me is that life isn't eternal, meaning like we're here on borrowed time. I should have said that in a phrase. Life is fleeting. There we go.
Hmm. Wow. Ooh, okay. And finally, what is one word that describes your life right now?
Hmm. Continuing.
Wow. Okay.
I
All
am
right.
not staying still and I never will.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the goal. I mean, to just do what makes us happy. Like they say, fill your cup, right? Fill your cup.
Yes,
Do what makes
exactly.
you happy. Right. So, wow. Thank you, Jason. I would say this has been an amazing, episode. And I love that we, got to connect and talk with each other on a more deeper
Absolutely. I'm
level.
I'm excited. I'd love to have you on my show too. Once I start doing more episodes over the summer, I'd love to have you on and promote your show because this is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. I would love that. All right.
Excellent.
And, Jason, before you go, where can listeners get to, learn more about you and also connect with you?
Sure. I'm on social media a lot because I'm home a lot with my mom. And so you can find me on
Mm.
thesocialpsychic.com. That's my website. I have a Substack with The Social Psychic. I have social media handles on most platforms, which either go by The Social Psychic or Jason Zook or The Jason Zook. You can find me on most of those formats. My show is the Social Psychic Radio Show, and I'm with Electrocast Media for my podcasting stuff. And feel free to reach out. I'd love to have a conversation, connect. Thank you.
All right. Wow. Okay. Personally, I'm gonna reach out.
I love that.
Right. And I know my listeners will do the same as well. So yes, thank you, Jason. And talking about my listeners, I would say thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this. And also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, Jason. Do you have a wonderful day ahead of you?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Connie.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.